Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Tuesday, April 21st, 2026. My Cordaro Jeweler's watch tells me it's 9:13 and change. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. Broadcasting today from the United States of America. I can prove it because we are making everything right in the world, no matter how short-term painful it is, no matter how much disgusting fools like Christopher Murphy complain and root for the enemy. But it's also the place for the brave. Like the veterans we salute today, having lost them this year, but whom we pay tribute to thanks to John Basiliga and Serenity Care. Like Gerald Frost, Factoryville, Elbert Rollins, known as Bert Stroudsburg, Donald Kelchner, Orangeville. The United States of America, founded with the certain knowledge and understanding by our amazing, irreplaceable, and profoundly wise founding fathers that government should not, cannot, and never shall be our parent, our guide, our direction, our salvation. Not any of these things. Because its power, the power of government, always means less freedom, less liberty, and less choice for Americans. Because our founding fathers knew that government power, because of human nature, should only be a necessary evil designed to protect and organize society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared by law to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. Freedom couldn't be parceled out to groups or controlled by government or government officials because our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. Now, because they were armed with these freedoms, and only because of that fact, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, many of them rejects from around the world, they and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose. Unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed. Unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show, well, it'll always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. And so we gavel to order today's meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that our total, immersive, immovable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here for the balance of this singular, extraordinary morning. A gentle warning, this is not a safe harbor for stupidity. It will be roundly and, dare I say, harshly attacked throughout the program. We will not suffer fools gladly. Their foolishness and ignorance, willful or otherwise, will be called out with intent, purpose, and vigor, designed and sadly necessary to save our great republic from evil, senselessness, and weakness. All of these things can bring this noble and successful experiment down if we do not honor our obligations and aggressively oppose it. And I'll add one other note, and vote. And vote common sense. So, things continue, and I'm telling you, somebody said, Bob, that was a long opening there. Thought you had gotten stuck on the interstate again today. Well, I got stuck on 315 today. Just stop. In the wisdom of the powers that be, they decided to do some sort of construction at, and I didn't find out about it till like 8:30. Some sort of construction at the Pittston-DuPont exit that I take. So now 81 was shot from back in Music, 81 South. So I got to the 315, and wouldn't you know, they closed a lane right after that idiotic traffic circle near the airport. And so that held me up. So, yeah, we had to buy some time. And somebody said, Bob, you're getting pretty low with your introduction segment. Well, Officer Tatum is a guy who I regularly follow on Instagram. And that was an Officer Tatum thing. It was a little rough. But we needed the time, number one. But number two, I'm disgusted with this Pope completely. And I'm not an anti-papist. In fact, I'm very pro the papacy. But we've got a bad one, another bad one. And I'm not going to relent on him. It's a disgrace. He continues to do it. He continues to literally say things about the gospel that don't exist. I don't get it. And then that idiocy with the climate change, with the ice cubes, blessing ice cubes. I don't get it. Hey, by the way, importantly, if you have a chance, you should check out our live stream. The easiest way to do it is you go to YouTube. You go to YouTube, you put Bob Cordaro, Cordaro, and WILK Bob Cordaro, and you'll find it. And it's pretty. It's good. It's neat to see. And that is all brought to you by our friends at Roach Supply. They are the premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania. They're celebrating 75 years in business. Ron Roach, really the driving force for most of those 75 years, if not all of them. And he's in his 90s, still going, and he's a veteran. Roach Supply, ROCHE supply.com. Great stuff, but they're bringing that video stream. All right, we'll take our break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. My rule. I do have, I do hope, I do hope. My love. I don't want. Don't tell me you didn't say, uh-huh. Don't tell me you didn't when you were listening. This date, 1962, Elvis Presley. He had his 17th number one hit, Murph tells us, his 29th top 10, and 54th hit overall in just 7 years with Good Luck Charm. And, of course, John Adams, sworn in as the first vice president of the United States, this date, 1789. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. I'm looking at I went to YouTube, I found it. The live stream brought to you by Roach Supply. My friend Johnny Perillo sent me an article with Pope Leo rejecting the media narrative that his Africa remarks targeted Trump. And he is saying that he prepared his statements more than 2 weeks ago, meaning prior to delivering them and before Trump ever said anything. And so he's trying to correct it. You could consider it a walk back, but it's something that's got to be thought of. And by the way, just the fact that he's walking it back is good. But he's got to be a little more. Well, I'd love to hear the explanation for the David Axelrod meeting. That's what I'd love to hear. That's what I'd like to hear. What are you meeting him for? Non-Catholic. That's the important part. And we'll see. We're going to see how this flows. Another thing that I discovered yesterday. Now, Trump is going to the White House Correspondents Association dinner Saturday night. Now, more than 250 journalists, including Dan Rather and Sam Donaldson. You would think that their time is over, but they're looking desperately to be relevant. They signed an open letter demanding that the White House Correspondents Association turn this Saturday's dinner into a stage for a directed, forceful confrontation with President Donald Trump. Their letter sent to the White House Correspondents Association on Monday asked the organization to use the podium to deliver a forceful defense of the freedom of the press and condemnation of those who threaten that freedom, followed by a standing toast to the First Amendment. Speak forcefully in front of the man who seeks to undermine our country's long tradition of an independent, strong, and free press, the letter says. Now, I want to tell you how insane these people are. Barack Obama investigated and prosecuted White House reporters. Yeah, the sainted one. Joe Biden's administration actively squelched the free press. Now, never mind all of the stories like the laptop that the journalists overlooked intentionally to help the Biden campaign. Overlook all that. They actively suppressed free press under Obama and Biden. Nobody talks to the press, and nobody has ever talked to the press and been more open and transparent than Donald Trump. Nobody. It's not even close. Not even close. And now they're going to assert the First Amendment as though he's doing something. These people are sick. Dan Rather got fired from CBS for manipulating the facts against George W. Bush. It's insane. Like, he's completely discredited. I think Trump's, well, look, he'll handle it well. It doesn't matter. But I mean, there was a Gallup poll last year found only 28% of Americans have a great or fair amount of trust in the mass media. And the numbers are even lower among conservative Republican voters. It's unreal. And these people will not go away. Their lies, their twisting of facts, their ignorance, their zero self-awareness. Zero self-awareness. Now, you get caught lying, win Pulitzers, and then you're angry at Trump for calling you out on the lies. It's unbelievable. and as somebody just texted in, the irony is astounding. These people are going to bitch about supposedly suppressing free press, all while they're standing in the same room bashing the President of the United States on live television. And they continue with the obvious. It's unbelievable. No self-awareness whatsoever. Zero. And this is why we call this the sanctuary of sanity. Because you have to say to yourself, well, what? I must be missing something. No, you're not. They're insane. We'll take a break. We'll come back, and something that actually is great, our Veterans Tribute, after we hear from our outstanding sponsors. Our Veterans Tribute this hour, as with every hour, this day as with every day, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, and his great Serenity Care, personal care community. 4 locations in the Mid-Valley section of Lackawanna County: Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. Dementia care units at Mid-Valley and Kingston locations. John has completely renovated inside and out all of these facilities, and they're accepting new residents with all-inclusive monthly rent. John has a passion for providing the highest quality senior care in the area and beautiful personal care homes for seniors to live in. They are the gold standard of senior living in Northeast PA. Serenity Care. Gerald Frost, he was from Factoryville, preceded in death by his beloved wife, Maureen Noon Frost, who he lost in 2020. He was born in Clairton. Graduate of Penn State University, he proudly served this country as a veteran of the United States Air Force. Prior to his retirement, he dedicated many years as superintendent of Lackawanna State Park, Prompton State Park, and Salt Springs State Park. He's survived by his son Daniel and granddaughter Hopper Frost of Hop Bottom, a brother, a sister, sister-in-law, and many other family members. He was fortunate to live his retirement to the full extent. He loved traveling, golf, gambling, and dining at the Bluebird Cafe up in Factoryville. A great place. Avid supporter of the Lackawanna Trail football team. He especially loved spending time with his granddaughter Hopper and cherished family dinners at Gerald's home. Gerald Frost, our great veteran this hour, brought to you by our man John Basiliga and his great Serenity Care senior care community. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by the great gang up at Montage Mountain Resort, who are swinging into spring. Today, mostly sunny. It'll get up to about 57. 39 at Montage right now. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a little rain down to, but it'll stay at 41 degrees for the low. Tomorrow, passing morning shower or two. Otherwise, clouds giving way to some sun, high 64, low 42. Thursday, partly sunny and pleasant, high 72, low 44. Friday, mostly cloudy and cooler with occasional rain, high 61, low 45. Saturday, occasional rain and drizzle. It'll only get up to about 50, low 42. And I heard Snedeker. I love having AccuWeather and Snedeker and 16 because they always vary a little bit. It's very interesting to me. But a decent weather report, and that is all brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain. The Shirelles. Murph says this date, 1962. They moved from number 11 to number 6 with their hit Soldier Boy. Bill O'Reilly in his daily blog, I guess you could call it, discussing the story we just disclosed to you regarding this supposed protest by people who've had more access to the President of the United States than ever. And people who don't even work in the media anymore, Dan Rather and Sam Donaldson. Rather's 94, Donaldson 92. They want to they're telling people, forcefully demonstrate your opposition. What is that? And you're right. And O'Reilly asks, what does that mean? He says they better respect the office of the presidency. It's literally the most access ever to a president of the United States. No filters, nothing. Like they take the exact, this is what the left does on every issue. They don't want a free press, but they argue free press when they get it. They didn't want a free press under Biden. They didn't want a free press under Obama. They wanted to regurgitate what they were fed because it fit their agenda. It's unbelievable. Pastor Mitch says, God bless you, Sir Bob. LTS, back at you. Thank you. And he has blessed me amazingly. All right, let's quickly go to Bill from Pittston. Bill, how are you?
I'm doing good, Bob. And I just want to tell you from my own personal experience, I'm an ordained pastor in the Lutheran Church. I became Roman Catholic. I continued my education. And I just want to speak personally about my criticism of the Pope. I love the Roman Catholic Church with my whole heart, soul, and mind. I love it enough that when I hear the gospel being distorted, I can't allow that to happen. And that covers anybody that loves God. And you don't need a degree to understand when something's not right. So my criticism of the Pope isn't born out of the fact that I just want to criticize him. I see distortions. And throughout history, people would say, well, how do we know that the Bible is accurate? Well, even in an oral tradition at the time, that was the top of the line way of passing down things through stories. But if somebody deviated from that story, the experts, the leaders, would cut them down and say, that's not the way it is. So the accuracy of the oral tradition was maintained by vigilancy and people that really cared about the truth being told. And that has carried through generations. So it hurts me to not agree with the Pope, but he's not right. He's not right in these things. So it's not a personal thing. I want to like the guy. But one of the good things about things like this with heresies, when you have debate, the truth comes out. And he's exposing himself by his retraction now. And it's sad, but the gospel is so precious. We can't allow people to take it in the wrong direction and misinterpret what Christ is saying for political gain. And
now,
I fear that's what
you would agree with me, Bill, that I mean, the devil can quote the Bible.
Yep.
Supporting his actions. So,
yep.
There is that to it. Like, you've got to be open to an interpretation that Pope Leo is putting forth. But I agree with you. There was a great column in the Western Journal that I read, and it goes point by point how he is misinterpreting the Bible, including the just war theory. And I don't know. He's got an agenda that is separate and apart from America's agenda. And it's galling that he would do it in a case when probably the most evil force on earth was the Iranian regime. And they were threatening to become, they were trying to bring about the apocalypse. They stated so. And to ignore that reality in his commentary and not to, he's walked back his Cameroon commentary, which John Perella pointed out. It was noted that it was from Cameroon. The Pope says it was about Cameroon and their situation, not about Donald Trump or the United States. But he's got to know that there are other interpretations of what he's saying that the media is going to run with, and they did. So
Well,
I
he's
don't know.
deliberately misinterpreted. You're very right, Bob. You've been right on this all along. And I'm not just going to say that because, if I was wrong, you'd correct me, and I'd correct you if I thought you were wrong. But the thing is, you're right. And it is a just war. And he is, I wouldn't say sin of omission or theological sin of omission, but he has deliberately chosen not to know what he knows about the just war. And it is a just war because, like you said, there could have been Holocaust with this. This is saving lives. I mean, it's like, what do you do if you come upon a guy that's got a gun on preschoolers and he says he's going to shoot him? And he pulls back the trigger. He doesn't do anything. Do you let him go, maybe kill the first kid?
Yeah.
Or do you blow him away?
No,
I mean,
it's so true. I know this. I know Donald Trump is doing the right thing. He's doing the politically courageous thing in Iran. And I will say this, too. I'm actually shocked. We have not, other than that refueling accident, which killed about 13 of our troops, we have not had any major snafus or problems in this operation. It has been remarkable. But we're going to see. I'm still waiting for a shoe to drop over there. I hate to say it, and I'm not a pessimist, but this has been such a bloodless war in a lot of ways. I'm beyond impressed. I really am.
Oh, I agree with you, and I'm with you. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Still
but
holding my
people
breath.
Also, they also forget. I mean, you just look at the Battle of Gettysburg and how many hundreds of thousands people that died, or thousands and thousands. I can't remember the exact details on the number of deaths and wounded. But I mean, that one battle for 3 days was horrific, and that's what war does. And unfortunately, wars have to be fought, for the sake of the weak. And back to this orthodoxy. What orthodoxy means? There's a concentric circle that Christians, no matter what your denomination is, if you're really legitimate, not some crazed thing that we hold to be sacred, about the Trinity, about the divinity of Christ, the incarnation, all these things we hold, and that is the norm. And when people step outside the norm, we can say, aha, something's not correct. Mm-hmm. And so forth. When you become a theologian, you can recognize what the majority of mainline denominations believe. And if somebody wildly steps out of that concentric circle, you can say there's something wrong here. And that's what we're trying to do with the Pope. He's stepping out of that concentric circle to make a political point.
Well, we're gonna keep watching them. We're gonna keep watching them. Bill, always a pleasure. Let us take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll find out what the markets are doing. They're actually doing quite well. We're approaching the 50,000 mark on the Dow. Every other market measure is up. And you can't go by them as to how the war is going. You just can't. But we'll take this break and be back. Murph says, the Beach Boys. And that's the actual performance. Do You Want to Dance on ABC's television show Shindig, this date, 1965. Bob Cordaro back. He says, does Lorraine want to go for? We don't have enough time. She's going to have to wait. Lorraine has a poem, but if I cut her short, she gets mad, and there's not enough time. What? What'd she say, Bulldog? Well, no, there's not enough time. There's a minute left. Anyway, let's do Mother Teresa, St. Teresa instead. She says, I cannot forget my mother. She was usually very busy all day long. But when sunset drew near, it was her custom to hurry with her task in order to be ready to receive my father. At the time, we did not understand, and we would smile and even joke a little bit about it. Today, I cannot but help call to mind the great delicacy of love that she had for him. No matter what happened, she was always prepared with a smile on her lips to welcome him. St. Teresa, Mother Teresa for today. I'm doing my tea here. And I don't know why I got aggravated this morning. I got very aggravated, dropping papers and all this other stuff. So I'm going to have my tea now. And I've got this tea provided by the Mulberry Bush. Now, they're not on Mulberry Street in Scranton anymore. They're at Hopkins Farm Greenhouse, River Road, Falls. And you could get all the great stuff you could get at the Mulberry Bush, including honey, eggs, all that kind of stuff. But I've got my honey, and they gave it to me, so I got to give them a blast and a thank you and a shout-out. Mulberry Bush up at Hopkins Farm in Falls. Snowboarder guy, I don't have any time now, and we've got an interview after the news, but he has any thoughts on the recent Ryan Leckie apology, snowboarder guy. I've got a few thoughts on it. One is, and I like Ryan Leckie a lot, I really do. I'm not going to have him do my crisis management for me. That's for sure. We'll take a break and be back. You know it. Great good morning, everyone. It is 10:07 a.m. on my Cordaro Jewelers watch. This beautiful Tuesday, April 21st, 2026, here in the great Northeast. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values. And with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and his great Serenity Care, personal care community, the gold standard of senior living in Northeast PA, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we've lost this year, but celebrate today, thanks to John, like Gerald Frost, Factoryville, Elbert Burt Rollins, Stroudsburg, formerly of Waverly, and Donald Kelchner of Orangeville. So with history, our amazing founding fathers who we will not allow to be canceled, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you that we are so committed to common sense. We will provide a sanctuary of sanity for all of you who hearken here. And, you got to say, when you got Sam Donaldson and Dan Rather talking about Trump being an enemy of the First Amendment, when Obama, who they loved and patted on the head and basically regurgitated, and Biden, who they missed the story of the century, that the president was in compos mentis. I mean, and the Biden administration actively suppressed free speech on the internet. Obama investigated reporters, asked James Rosen, who's got local ties to Northeast Pennsylvania. Always remember, they say the exact opposite of that which is true. Always. And they accuse you of what they have done or acquiesced in. Hey, live stream, Roach Supply, ROCHE. Premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania. They're celebrating 75 years in business. Ron Roach at the helm. 2 other generations working alongside him. You go to roachsupply.com, ROCHE, and check out everything they have to offer. You ain't in business for 75 years, just like our friends at Picardo's. You're not in business for 3 generations because people just like you. You're great at what you do. And Roaches. And by the way, this hour brought to you by our friend Tina Morocco, Global Sales Advisor, Premier Sotheby's International in Naples, Florida. She is your trusted guide to Florida real estate, specializing in Southwest Florida. You could reach her through Sotheby's in Naples or go right to the source, Tina Morocco, MURACCO.com. And good stuff. Well, we've got a concert coming up. And this is just, it's just great. Joe Nardone's putting a show on. And I can't, that his shows are awesome. So who's with us? We got Sandy from Jay and the Americans. How are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. So tell me,
you sound impressive.
Well, Sandy Dean, you've been impressive for decades now, and we love having you on with us.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
You're founding member of Jay and the Americans.
Yes.
And tell us how that came about.
Well, I was in a singing group in high school. It was a trio, actually. My girlfriend was the lead singer, and a guy named Kenny Rosenberg and I were the backup singers. I played guitar, she played piano, and we got a record deal. And we fell in love with making records and singing songs.
Oh.
And then we decided we wanted a boys group because the girl had too much makeup to deal with. So we got together and we got a guy named Jay Trainer, who was the lead singer of the Mystics at the time, and he wasn't happy with that group. And my best friend Howie Kane and a guy named Marty Sanders, and we formed an unnamed group. Got an audition up at Lieber and Stoller, by the grace of God, and they loved us. They thought we were really cool. We were a bunch of kids that they thought were so clean cut, and they were only handling black artists at the time. But other than Elvis, we were the only white person they ever spoke to.
Yeah.
They had Drifters, the Coasters, Benny King, Clyde McFadden, all of those people. And that's how it started. They named us Jay and the Americans.
That's amazing. What was the big
Actually,
break?
they named us Binky Jones and the Americans. And we said, no, we can't possibly go through life calling ourselves Binky Jones and the Americans. So they let us change the name to Jay and the Americans.
Sandy Dean is with us. He's a founding member of Jay and the Americans, who are coming to town. When is your concert here?
Oh, we're here May 2nd, Saturday. And we're at the Kirby Center, that fabulous venue that we play practically every year.
Love it.
And we've got some great acts with us, too. We have the Duprees. We have the Brooklyn Bridge. You can hear some real singing.
That is it's beyond impressive how Joe Nardone puts this all together and how you guys love to perform with each other. You have a lot of interaction with your other acts on the show.
Yeah, we really do. We're really buddies with those people, especially those people. I mean, listen, we're fans like everybody else. And when people are good, it's a pleasure to stand on stage and either follow them or go on before them.
Yeah.
We all want a great show. We all want the audience to be thrilled. And I have no doubt that the people that come to this show are going to leave ecstatic, because those other two groups can sing their behinds off, and we're not too shabby.
Sandy Dean, founding member of Jay and the Americans, our guest. Sandy, one of the things that I say about your era's music, and your music specifically, it's evocative of a time, a place, a feeling, and that's why people go back to it, over and over.
It was hopeful, and that music, that with those little 45 records that everybody bought when they were kids, that's our musical history, and it's kind of like everybody says it is the soundtrack of our lives.
Yeah.
But it was an innocent time, and it was a time where now that music has become the new American songbook. These songs have become classics.
Yeah, they truly, truly are. It's quite amazing. How old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't mind at all. I'm 85. And I got plenty left in the tank.
I love that. So you like to, how often do you perform? How many times in a year, just for example?
When we don't do the Happy Together tour, we do about 40 to 50 jobs a year.
Oh, great.
And when we do the Happy Together tour, that's a summer of 58 jobs in 90 days, just in the summer. So we're pretty much road warriors. And you know what? We do it because we love doing it. We love the fact that the audience walks in and they leave happier. They leave with the memories that made them feel really good. And we turn people back into teenagers again.
Yeah.
And it's very gratifying.
One of the things about you and Jay and the Americans, and the other acts that are coming in on May 2nd at the Kirby, you come out onto stage and you own that stage and that audience. That's got to be the most incredible feeling, and it's probably part of what drives you at 85 to keep getting it done.
Yeah, that's what getting high is, seeing that response. It's like, listen, you do what you do because you're good at it, and you have the people in the palm of your hand too, or you wouldn't be doing it as long as you're doing it. People can't keep on doing stuff over and over again successfully for no reason.
Now, Sandy Dean, what is it's always a silly song or a silly question, I should say. What's your, because Bulldog's got to look for it. What is your favorite Jay and the Americans song?
Personally, my favorite Jay and the American song is Walking in the Rain.
Walking in the Rain. Well, Bulldog will find that. We'll play that on the way out.
Everybody in the group has a different one. It's funny.
Yeah. And what was your biggest hit?
This Magic Moment.
Unbelievable. And that's such an incredible song.
Listen, great songs never go away.
Mm-hmm.
A great lyric and a great melody touches people's hearts, and that's what it's all about.
Sandy Dean, when you think of, what you've done in your life, and most people do an assessment, well, where am I at? What did I do? You've got to be incredibly proud to leave this legacy and have this legacy that will be remembered forever. It literally will.
Yeah, it's kind of wonderful. I'm very proud and very pleased with what we've accomplished. We've built a really wonderful brand that people admire and look up to. There was a time actually during the wars, the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
We were kind of disrespected for waving the flag the way we did, but we stuck with it. We're proud of our country, and right or wrong, it's the best place on the planet. We're not perfect. The group isn't perfect. You're not perfect, but neither is anybody else. But there's no country I'd rather be in.
Amen.
And I've been in plenty of others.
Amen. May 2nd, Sandy Dean, Jay and the Americans, they will be here. And man, I can't wait for it.
Hey man, come join the party.
Oh yeah, my parents are coming, and I'm trying to come myself. Come
on, break
awesome.
down and do it. We're going to impress you.
You already have. Sandy, thank you so much for being with us. Maybe we'll even get to talk to you before the concert one more time, because you only scratch the surface with a career as great as yours. It's amazing.
Well, it's only 65 years, so I'm still working on it.
Sandy Dean, Jay and the Americans, May 2nd at the Kirby Center. We can't wait. Thank you, my friend.
Take care, buddy.
All right. We'll take a break. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Steelers Wheel. Murph tells us they moved into the top 10 charts at number 9 with their hit Stuck in the Middle with You. Bob Cordaro back with you on the eponymous program. I love busting the Protestants. I don't know why. It's just something I always got a kick out of. So my friend Sirius texts in, and he says this. He said, so we Protestants don't have a fictional pope, and as a result don't have to get all wound up about what he says. He said, this guy has been a liberal going all the way back to his days at Villanova. He's got you all wound up this morning. Well, yes, he does. And, you know, I would have actually pointed to and still do, point to the papacy and that amazing leadership platform as one of the great things about the Catholic Church. We just had a couple of duds now. Sadly, they're in a row. And even more sadly, they all get compared to John Paul II, who was essentially the perfect pope. And I don't think anybody could disagree with it. We have not seen his like again. Benedict had the same rock-solid philosophy, but he just, he couldn't really deliver. And again, he's the guy who followed Muhammad Ali. It's very hard to do. So, yeah, that's what happens. How about these guys, though? May 2nd, and Joe Nardone brings them in. They're fabulous. I'm telling you, I don't care what age you are. I don't care what kind of music you enjoy. That oldies concert that Joe Nardone's putting on May 2nd, you will leave there feeling like $1 million. I know it. I'm telling you. Quickly, just explain this little thing going on. Ryan Leckie, former Channel 16 guy, he has an ad agency. I don't know what you'd quite call it, but they do a lot of commercials and videos and all that kind of thing. And so he agreed to work for, I guess, one of the companies that wants to put a data center in Lackawanna County. And I didn't see any blowback for it. I mean, you get a job, you do your job. And I've got to go back. Look I don't care. I'm watching the people who are opposing the data centers. And there are legitimate issues that could be brought up. But what I'm seeing over and over again, and as soon as the boy King Billy Gaughan is on your side, I'm suspicious. As soon as the Scranton Times is on your side, I'm suspicious of the opposition. If they're leading the opposition, if they're cheerleading for the opposition, I'm suspicious. Now, I've told you my position on this time and time again, and it's important to restate it. I don't know that it is the best use of our limited resources in Lackawanna County, but it isn't my land, number one. I don't have the right to say anything about how this land is used as long as it's legal. So they want to build these data centers. The long and the short of it is, I believe that this data center craze is going to burn out within this decade, maybe sooner. And that these kind of data centers that use tons of electricity, that use tons of water to cool their equipment, are going to go the way of the dodo. I think that by the time many of them are built, there'll be new technologies that won't be anywhere as wasteful as current day data centers. Number two, and an important point. Northeast Pennsylvania, if we don't have one data center, none, but let's put it the other way. None of the benefits of AI are going to come to Northeast Pennsylvania because we have data centers. We're going to get the benefits or the curse or whatever your interpretation is, regardless of whether they're here or there. So that's number two. There's no direct benefit to us. Take 1 million square feet of data center versus 1 million square feet of manufacturing or distribution, and you'll have minimum 10 times, minimum 10 times as many jobs out of distribution and manufacturing as you will out of a data center. So, PPL claims that they are prepared for them. And there's a developer in Lackawanna County who is prepared to build a series of power plants that would service the data centers. So I don't think power is going to be an issue. But if they provide their own power and they return the water that they use or simply recirculate a certain amount of water, I don't know. I don't think there's any well-grounded opposition to the data centers located here. They're not evil. They're not trying to kill anybody. They're not going to destroy anything. When you talk about traffic, a manufacturing operation and a distribution operation are going to have a hell of a lot more traffic than a data center will. So I'm agnostic on the process, but let's not try to make them into something evil. So you get Ryan Leckie takes a contract with one of the groups, and now he's apologizing for it. I don't get it. I really don't get it. And why would you give Ryan Leckie a hard time for taking the contract? I don't understand it. I really don't. And then he gives himself a hard time for taking the contract. As I said earlier, I'm not hiring him for crisis management, that's for sure. Somebody texted in, Bob, these data centers are going to come in and use up all excess electricity, which will prevent large employers from coming here. Well, they're also going to take up the land that manufacturers and distribution companies will use. And somebody said, we need large employers, not these data centers. Well, it's not our choice. This is not a communist economy. It's not a socialist economy. The people who own the land and want to invest the money, it's their choice, not yours and not mine. Somebody says they build a data center near Cutie's house, you'd be in an uproar. Well, any manufacturing, any huge building, I'm in a residential neighborhood. They're not going to be horrible neighbors. That's all exaggerated. It is. And somebody said, well, when you tell us what these data centers are going to do for us, if you're going to defend them, I'm not defending them. I'm not attacking them either. They are what they are. And they're somebody else's choice with their property and their capital, not yours. Now, if they're too close to residential areas, that's another story. But being against them or trying to pose them as though they're evil, like some kind of evil empire or something, it doesn't make any sense. I'm not for them. I'm not against them. I'm pointing out to you that they're not some amazing job production. In fact, they're much less than a comparable manufacturing or distribution facility, but in fact, they're going to create less traffic They're going to create less problems for neighboring residential and commercial. They just are. And again, this is one of these issues where people don't even listen. If they produce their own power on their own land and they make their own investment and they either return the water they use in the same or better condition than they received it, there's not a fair legal objection to them. That's all. So I just don't know the things that would make Ryan Lackey scurry into the bushes and apologize for doing work for them. I don't get it. Anybody associated with him is evil or what? I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that point. I really don't see it. I think you're 100% wrong. If they're building it within 50 feet of your house, that's another story. But let's not turn this into some good and evil, because it ain't. Okay? It is not. And that's coming from somebody who's agnostic on the whole thing. And again, I said they're going to be, my view, they're going to be obsolete before in some instances, before they're even built. But that's the investor's choice. So, and again, when you have a jackass like Billy Gaughan leading the charge and all these people cheering him on, I say to myself, wow, there's something wrong. There's something wrong on the opposition side. Being associated with him is shameful. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We will return. Our Veterans Tribute this hour brought to you by our friend John Basiliga. On Tuesdays, we feature his great Serenity Care personal care community. 4 senior living centers in Mid-Valley, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston. Dementia units at the Mid-Valley, Lackawanna, and the Kingston locations. All-inclusive monthly rent, newly renovated, state-of-the-art private and semi-private rooms, suites and companion suites, individual controlled heating, emergency call systems in every room, medication administration, safe storage in the nursing station, daily housekeeping, laundry services. It is the gold standard of senior living in Northeast Pennsylvania. Albert Rollins, nicknamed Bert. We lost him March 25th at age 93. He was living in Stroudsburg. His wife of 71 years is Esther M. Hall Rollins. Bert was born in Waverly, 1951 graduate of Clark Summit Abington Joint High School. Veteran of the United States Army from 1951 to 1954. While in Germany, he was a Morse code operator, earning the Army of Occupation Medal and a National Defense Service Medal. Bert continued his education at Keystone Junior College, the University of Scranton, and Newark State University, now known as Keene University, where he earned a master's degree in teaching. He moved to New Jersey in 1958 and resided in Bridgewater for many years before returning to the Poconos in 1996. Prior to retirement, he worked as a teacher for 29 years and for the Hartford Steam Boiler Insurance for 31 years. In addition to his wife, he's survived by his daughter and her husband, his granddaughter, his great-granddaughter, 4 grandchildren, and that one great-granddaughter. Preceded in death by his brothers and a sister, Albert Rollins. They called him Bert. Our great veteran this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Serenity Care. AccuWeather forecast brought to you by the great gang up at Montage Mountain Resort. And don't think, since skiing is over, there's nothing happening up there. There's something happening every day. And the Slocum Hollow Lodge is outstanding. Don't forget the Wagyu burger. Today, mostly sunny, high 57. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a little rain, down to 41. It is 42 degrees on the mountain, Montage Mountain right now. Tomorrow, a passing morning shower or two. Otherwise, clouds giving way to some sun. It's going to creep up to 64, says AccuWeather. The low of 42. Thursday, partly sunny and pleasant, high 72, low 44. Friday, mostly cloudy and cooler with occasional rain, high 61, low 45. Saturday, occasional rain and drizzle, high 50, low 42. And that is your weather, brought to you by our great friends at Montage Mountain. Okay, that's quite enough of that. Murph tells us on this date, 1981, Weird Al Yankovic performed his parody hit, Another One Drives a Bus, on Tom Snyder's The Tomorrow Show. I remember The Tomorrow Show. In fact, I had a pretty good imitation of Tom Snyder back in the day when I was in high school. And so that's the deal there. All right, we're back. Let's go right to the blowers. Larry from Plymouth calling on the data centers. How are you, Larry?
Hi, Bob. And before I say anything, Bob, I talked to you last week, and you said something that's been bothering me ever since.
Okay.
You on there? You said to me, "Is everything you say true?" In other words, Bob, you call me a liar.
No, I'm not.
Oh, that bothered me. That's been bothering me since then. I couldn't sleep.
Did I say what? I asked you that question?
You said, yeah, you said, "Is everything you say true?"
Well, then I guess more my interpretation would be: does everything you say make sense? Maybe that would be what I should say.
Well, maybe you should have did it that way, but that's even worse.
Well, it's live radio, Larry. We're you know.
Okay, but here's another thing, Bob. Too, I got to tell you, and I got to tell all the people out there, it's not data, it's data, and it's not Kiev, it's Kiev, and it's not Qatar, it's Qatar, and it's not Beijing, it's Peking, and it will always be.
I thought they officially changed the name to Beijing.
Well, they could do anything they want, but it's still Peking. But anyway, Bob, about the data centers. Oh my God! Now you got me.
Now you just said it. I don't have you doing anything.
The data
you
centers,
just
Bob.
did it.
Bob,
I think either pronunciation is appropriate. Go ahead, though.
Okay, all these data centers and the technology, Bob, that's coming is going to destroy us. And I told you one time to watch a movie, and I guarantee you never did. Forbidden Planet, 1956, with Leslie Nielsen, and that movie is the movie that Gene Roddenberry saw, and he copied Star Trek after that movie.
Okay.
And all I'm going to tell you, Bob, I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to watch it. I'm just going to say what in the movie, what it was, the Krell, Bob, the Krell. And it was monsters from the id, monsters from the prehistoric subconscious mind. You watch the movie, Bob. I said it's the movie that Gene Roddenberry made Star Trek after. But here, Bob, I've been having a dream.
There are many, many dystopian futures that can result from artificial intelligence. There's not any doubt about that.
Okay.
But controlling it by government, the way the Biden administration had proposed, was going to allow China and our adversaries to lead. The only way to proceed with regarding the AI, because it's coming anyway, for good or for ill, is to lead, and lead by a great deal in terms of the technology. The data centers, whether they're here or someplace else, it's not going to matter. We're going to get the benefit or the difficulties caused by it.
Right. Okay, but Bob, here I've been having a dream, the same dream a lot. And I checked it out, and here's what I found out, Bob. I have this dream that where I get lost and I can't find my way home. And I'll see somebody and I'll ask, "Hey, where's Plymouth?" "Oh, you see that road down there? You follow it 6 miles, make a right, and you go another 4 miles, you run right into Plymouth." So I go down there, and then I end up in some trail in the woods, and I'm lost. So I checked this out, Bob, and here's what this means. I have high anxiety. I have insecurity related to stress, lack of direction, struggling to make decisions, feeling unfulfilled. Now, that part is really true. I feel very unfulfilled, Bob. I know I could have done more, and I didn't. So that some of that makes sense to me, but I don't know about some of the other stuff.
I have my recurrent, and I've said this is the worst nightmare I have. I can't get ready and get my equipment on time for a football game. And then I have another one where I haven't studied, and it's the exam. And and I wake up and I said, well, good, at least I didn't have to deal with that.
But I have this dream a lot. I'm lost. I can't find my home.
Well, I don't find that particularly distressing.
Ooh. I don't know.
Listen, if that's your worst nightmare, that's why I tell myself. If that's my worst nightmare, I'm doing pretty good.
And then it says, searching for a sense of belonging.
Well, we all are. aren't we? Well, you belong to this large dysfunctional family, so that's been accomplished, Larry.
Well, I hope, Bob. I hope.
My man. Hey, we got to go, but thank you, Larry. Always a pleasure, and I don't want him mad at me, and I want him to be able to sleep. My Picardo Jewelers watch tells me it's 10:50 on the nose. By the way, somebody want to know what name or what movie Larry recommended. It's called Forbidden Planet. Yeah, that's the movie, Forbidden Planet. By the way, did you hear about Ilhan Omar? Her wealth soaring to $30 million from zero, her and her husband, and now it has plummeted back to 18,000. These are not serious people. These people are a joke. You have idiots hanging on their words as though there's some level of intelligence coming from them. There's zero intelligence. These are idiots. These are stupid people who hate the country. Go from 0 to 30 million back to 0. My God. Tell me that's not a scam. Hey, we got Luciano from Luzerne County to finish the hour, and he's got his own theme song. Hi, Luciano.
Bob, thank you for taking my call. 3 quick statements. People, wake up. I want to talk about the late, great USA. How is it that a foreign country, a communist, socialist, evil, wicked country like China owns land in the United States, owns the agricultural land? This should never have been done. No country, much less Spain or Argentina or Switzerland, Denmark. But
by the way, they're buying
Russia,
Larry.
China,
I'm sorry, Luciano. They're buying up. They're the biggest buyer of all the burned out land in the Pacific Palisades in Los Angeles.
Yes, I'm aware of that. That's why I'm saying the late, great USA. And I do believe that the economists have said in the next 20 years, China will be the number one financially, will be the superpower when it comes to finance, not military power like Russia and United States. They will still hold that title. But financially, we owe China. We're indebted to China, Bob. How can that be? And one last statement. God bless Donald Trump and God bless Israel. The only country we have as a true friend is Israel. And it used to be England was with us, but they've been dominated and controlled by these Muslim radicals. God bless Israel. God bless Donald Trump. And God bless these hardcore America First Republicans, because Donald Trump has done something that no other Republican has ever done. He's for American citizens, and we need to get American citizens off the streets.
And I want to be able to say, Luciano, God bless the common sense voters who made the effort to defeat the lunatic left. That's what I want to say and hope I can say in November. Thank you, my man. 11:01 on my Picardo Jewelers watch. That tells me it's time for the news. We're going to do that, and we'll be back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. You know it. Great good morning, everyone. It is 11:08 a.m. and change on my Cordaro Jewelers watch this beautiful Tuesday, April 21st, year of our Lord, 2026 here in the great Northeast. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor with the help of our man John Basiliga and his great Serenity Care senior care community, the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we lost this year, but celebrate today thanks to John. Like Elbert, Burt, Rollins, Stroudsburg, Leda Waverly, Gerald Frost, Factoryville, and Donald Kelchner, Orangeville. So with history, our amazing founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order after that brief news adjournment, this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising that our deep and unalterable commitment to common sense will provide a sanctuary of sanity to all of you who hearken here. Bob Cordaro back. Somebody texting in, if they supply their own electrical, meaning the data centers, it will be multiple diesel generators running 24/7. No, they're building actual power plants. Now, you know we've got natural gas underneath us, underneath our feet. There's also a natural gas power plant right across the Casey Highway from where they're proposing these buildings. So they can have their own power source. And that's what we should insist on. Somebody else, Bob LTS, did you hear any more info on the missing advanced materials and NASA scientists? No, I did not. I've been following it. Now, one of the interesting situations, to tell you why it's not cut and dried that there's some foreign or alien source for these disappearances and murders. Remember the crazy guy at Brown who went in and I think he killed some students there and then went to this professor up at MIT and killed him? He was one of the 11 that they're counting here. So let's follow it. I know the Trump administration's on it. The FBI's on it. So let's see what happens. Somebody said that bit from Mark Twain, meaning that history moment, sounded very much like an AI voice. I believe it was. So in any event, power plant supplies the valley with power, so that would make our costs go up. So they need to build their own stuff. Yes, without a doubt. Meaning the data centers. Somebody had said it's not data centers. I think it's appropriate either data or data. I do. I really do. Hey, he's been patient with us. Our man Jim from Harding. How are you, Jim?
Yeah, I've just got a couple of subjects. The one about that Virginia vote today to redraw their congressional lines. I was watching Fox News, and one of the dirty tricks the Democrats are pulling, they're going into the red areas and putting posters of Donald Trump up saying, vote yes for this. Ain't that amazing?
I know. I had to laugh at it because that's an old school tactic. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. But, and another thing is that, Jeffries, I was listening to him.
Oh, what
he was
an ass.
talking about how many billions of dollars were spent on the Iranian war and how many more soldiers is going to die. For somebody that's letting hundreds of Americans being murdered by these illegals they left in, he's not one to make a comment like that.
Yep. He's scumbag. He's a scumbag.
Yeah, and one more thing. How long do you think it's going to take a Schumer to get a federal judge to stop that gas line that they want to go from PA to New York City to shut it down?
I'm telling you, they've gone loony. They have gone loony. And New York State, people don't remember this. New York State not only has passed laws to prevent extracting their natural gas, which is as much or more than Pennsylvania and Ohio has. But they've prevented future natural gas hookups. It's insane. These people are insane. They just are.
Yeah, and one more comment. If all your listeners want to learn how to be a real good liar, all you got to do is listen to a Democratic politician. Within a minute, you'll be a master liar.
You know it, Jim. Thank you, man. So true. So true. Somebody texts in, they should make the data centers run on solar and wind power like they tried forcing on us. Yeah. Well, see, these are actual business people. They're not for solar or wind unless they could get in on the scam, which many have, by the way. It's not reliable. They're not going to have it. By the way, just want to remind you, we have a live stream where you can see my smiling, scowling face in alternately, and my turtle shell glasses. They're just cheaters. Brought to you by Roach Supply, ROCHE. Roach Supply is the premier bath and kitchen supplier in Northeast Pennsylvania, celebrating 75 years in business. And I say this, and I immediately think of the Bacardos. These multi-generational family businesses, it doesn't happen anymore. And if they're 75 years in business, like the Bacardos are, that means they're absolutely great at what they did and what they do. Visit Roach Supply, ROCHE.com. RoachSupply.com today. Check out their kitchens and baths beyond peril. They're awesome. They really are. Somebody texted in, wanton, rampant abuse of the coal barons from 100 years ago. Have we learned nothing? I don't see the same issue. You know, the coal barons were operating within the confines of their day. And I mean in all ways. And that's why you needed United Mine Workers. United Mine Workers became corrupt, but that's human nature. So I don't know. They're just not, you can't reduce it to good and evil. It's a cost-benefit analysis, the location of these data centers. And if they provide their own power and they either provide their own water, like with the mine water, 30 billion gallons beneath our feet, or they recirculate and they clean and process the water, returning it in as good or better condition than they received it, well, then they could do it, in my view. I'm not for or against it either way. Somebody remember 2 years ago when the water company said, we all have to conserve and you better not be watering your lawn. If we catch you, you can fine you. Well, if we get another drought, the data center is going to conserve and shut down until the drought is over. Answer that question. I don't know. I can't answer that. That's why they got to provide their own water, or they've got to recirculate it back into our system. It's an interesting thing about water usage. You got to remember, most water is circulated through our sewer systems. Now, if they have water treatment at these facilities, they will use a set amount of water, which, by the way, in many cases is not much as a factory of comparable size. It sounds like a huge amount, but it's not any more than a major user takes advantage of for a factory or a distribution center. But as long as they have water treatment on site or use the mine water, I think people are getting, and we always have these arguments where people get emotional beyond the reality. And when you have an idiot like Boy King Billy Gaughan leading the charge, I get immediately suspicious that this is about emotions and silliness and politics, certainly at the lead. There are plenty of questions that need to be asked and answered. But you can't do it with heat. Some troll, I guess. Your argument is, if they're not bad, then what's so bad about them? I don't even know what the hell you're saying. I haven't studied this. I've studied it. I've studied it more than you, I guarantee you. I guarantee you. And you want to use silly emotions like a child instead of actually analyzing the issue. Now, somebody else bringing up an environmental. Bob, take a drive up both Route 6s. Deforestation and runoff will kill the Lackawanna River. I don't know. If you own the land, you can timber it anyway. So it's not really a valid point, and your runoff argument is completely speculative. So I'm not getting it. You know, you've got to detach yourself from emotion when you're having these discussions. Somebody else, again, homework. Wildcat Ridge will consume more power than Invenergy across the valley in Jessup produces annually. Okay. So then Invenergy expands their operation. Now, very important meeting tonight. PPL is going to be required to explain why they need the transmission lines and where the power will come from. And I tell you again, the person, idiot, saying I didn't study this. I'm telling you, and this will be borne out, these are going to be considered old-fashioned data centers. In a very short period of time, they'll be obsolete. Somebody says the Jessup power plant feeds into the PMG grid, so who knows where it goes. That's right. Likewise, our power can come from any power plant within 300 miles, and they can control runoff. Well, you're required to control runoff. Guys, you're not going to win with a silly emotional argument and with leadership if you're against the data centers and you're letting Boy King Billy Gaughan be the leader of the pack. You're going to lose the argument. I guarantee you. He's an ass. He's an ass. He's the ass who gave you Biden Street. Don't forget that. He's a left-wing idiot. Lunatic is too soft of a word for him. So get your act together and stop with the emotional silliness and make your argument. Clearly, all the data centers aren't going to get built, but some of them probably will. So make it done right. And somebody says exactly, why couldn't the data centers, and this is what I'm saying, use a closed-loop system for cooling, similar to the radiator system on a vehicle? They'd need to top off the system occasionally, but not use as much water. Unreal. And a troll continuing. You're a stupid person, and you insist on being stupid. I'm not going to know more of your text. It's irrelevant. I'm not going to be trolled. I'll be trolled to prove you wrong. But you keep coming up with something silly every time you answer. Like, you're not going to take reason for an answer. And that people like you are going to lose the argument for legitimate opposition to the data centers. People like you and Billy Gaughan. All right, we got to take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. This date, 1990. Murph tells us Paul McCartney played before a record crowd of 184,000 people at Maracana Stadium, Rio de Janeiro, setting a new record for a concert crowd. Hey Jude was the 24th and last song, Murph says, before 2 encores. He ended up playing 30 total songs for that massive gathering. Bob Cordaro back with you on the program. And continued best wishes to our man, Mr. Paul. Was operated on yesterday, and we're wishing him the best. Talked to him this morning. He's doing good. Somebody says, Bob, in my travels, I'm keeping track of how many people mention the Biden Expressway when I tell them I'm from Scranton. Spoiler alert, unfortunately, more people know that sign than you think. I miss from being remembered for The Office. LTS, says the electrician. Embarrassing. Embarrassing. Just insane. And really bad. And I got to say, it is not, it's just an embarrassment. And Bulldog, when we come back, we got to do our Biden Day 127. It's insane. Embarrassing us with this jackass, former president, corrupt scumbag, and a dumb man, a really stupid man. They're looking for places to send him. He goes up to Syracuse University, his law school, where he finished in the bottom 10th of his class because he's an idiot. And he sees a black guy and says, oh, you look just like Barack Obama. Like, he's that stupid. He's that dumb of a person. And we give him an expressway. Thank you, Paige Cognetti, Governor Shapiro, and Boy King Billy Gaughan. And a street that's a blight on this area. It makes us look like we're too stupid to know any better. The Democrat Party itself is distancing itself from Biden, but we're honoring him. With a lie, by the way, on top of all that he served this country. He served himself for nearly 50 years. Himself and his family. Yeah. All right, we'll take a break. Bob Cordaro, WILK. We'll be back. Our Veterans Tribute, brought to you as always, dutifully, proudly, patriotically, by our man John Basiliga. And he cares for our veterans and he cares for our seniors. He has a passion for providing the highest quality senior care in the area and beautiful personal care homes for seniors to live in. All 4 of our facilities, Mid-Valley section of Lackawanna County, Old Forge, Wyoming, Kingston, totally renovated. All-inclusive monthly rent, newly renovated, state-of-the-art private and semi-private, as well as companion suites. Individually controlled heating, cooling, emergency call systems in every resident room. They're just beautiful. I've seen them. They're awesome. Dementia care units at the Mid-Valley and Kingston locations. It is the gold standard of senior care in Northeast PA. Donald J. Kelchner, Jr. We lost him at age 93. He was from Orangeville. Active in the community and a true gentleman. Born in Fairmount Springs. He graduated from Bloomsburg High School's class of 1951 and immediately enlisted in the U.S. Air Force, where he served 4 years on active duty and 34 years in the Air National Guard. What a story of service. He went further than that. But during his military service, he served a tour of duty in Korea during that war. He then continued that service, as I mentioned, working at the Orangeville Post Office for a total of 43 years, 32 as the postmaster. Remember the Bloomsburg American Legion? Orangeville Oriental Lodge? Free and Accepted Masons? Caldwell Consistory? Bloomsburg Elks, Moose, and VFW. Orangeville Fire Company, man. He's survived by his loving wife, Janet, with whom he shared 66 years of marriage. His sons, his grandchildren, 4 of them, great-grandchildren, 2 of them. Donald Kelchner, our veteran this hour, brought to you by John Basiliga and Basiliga Hospitality. I'm sorry, Serenity Care Personal Care Community. Hey, the AccuWeather forecast today. And this is all brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain. Mostly sunny, high 57. 48 on the mountain as I speak. Tonight, mostly cloudy, a little rain, low 41. Tomorrow, passing morning shower or 2. Otherwise, clouds giving way to some sun, high 64, low 42. That's tomorrow. Wednesday, Thursday, partly sunny and pleasant. It'll get up to 72 with a low of 44. Friday, a little bit cooler with occasional rain, 61, low 45. Saturday, occasional rain and drizzle, high 50, low 42. And that's the AccuWeather forecast brought to you by our friends at Montage Mountain Resorts. But add further, by the way, Snedeker says Sunday is going to be the best day of the week. So we shall see. So far, it looks like Thursday, though. And that's all by Montage Mountain. Biden banner disgrace. Stolen valor, day 127. The Green Ridge Neighborhood Association insists on keeping up a banner which pretends that Joe Biden served this country in our military. The hometown hero banner designed for veterans, and Biden dodged service over and over and over again. But they put it up, maybe mistakenly. But then when they found out they were wrong, they kept it up. And this pink paintball stained disgrace stands as a testament and embarrassment for the Green Ridge Neighborhood Association. Oh, in addition to their crappy streets. Thanks, Paige Cognetti. Biden banner disgrace, day 127. Stolen valor. Take the banner down. So, I want to remind you, Tina Morocco, global sales advisor at Sotheby's International, Naples, Florida. She is your trusted guide to Florida real estate, specializing in Southwest Florida. Reach her at Sotheby's International in Naples, or go right to the source, Tina Morocco, MURACCO.com. We'll have her on tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. Find out what else is going on. Awesome. Look at the data center issue. The one thing that I have not gotten full report on it, and maybe that's because it wasn't negative. Northern Virginia, which is much denser population-wise than we are, has a huge data center corridor. And I know State Representative Jamie Walsh went down there to check it out. I heard nothing negative about it. And I tell you again, I'm not for or against. I don't think, if they are properly governed, that they're going to be a blight or a problem. And again, let's not overlook, it's their land and their money. Now, we share water and electricity with them if they are built. So they have to provide water treatment. As someone suggested, an even better idea, a closed loop system where they store, treat, and provide their own water, but certainly provide their own power. PPL is all in on it. They're building transmission lines. A meeting tonight regarding all of that at my friend Jeff Bianconi's Montvale Country Club. Great place, by the way. It's where I got married. In any event, inform yourself. And don't let emotional fools lead the discussion, or you will lose the argument, even if you're right. And by the way, there are multiple proposals. So you could be right about one of them and wrong about another. Just keep that as an understanding. One of them may be the wrong proposal. Multiple, and remember, 1 million square feet in this space, because of the heat generated by current limited technology, I'll add, they can't put them all in one building. They've got to be multiple buildings because of the heat. So go and talk and listen a little bit logically. All right, what is the story? What will it be like? And are you going to take care of the issue of water and power in a way that's satisfactory to us? And PPL and the water company have to be spoken to and said, look, you guys, if you're all in on this, you ain't raising our rates because of these projects. So there's condition 3. If the utilities want them, then you can't raise our rates because of the projects. And they've got to sanitize their own water, ideally in a closed loop system, and they've got to provide their own power. And our rates can't get whacked. And there it is. So let's see. And let's listen. And let's figure it out. I promise you they're not the evil that clowns like Billy Gaughan are saying they are. But I also promise you they're not a panacea. They're not major jobs producers. They may be major tax producers. Somebody had texted in that they don't pay sales tax. Well, why would they? They don't pay Pennsylvania sales tax. Of course not. They're not selling anything. Certainly not on a retail level. But let's be sensible about this, and it can get done right. Some of them are coming. Divorce the emotion. Stick to the facts. Stick to truth. Stick to reality. And we'll all end up better for it. All right, we'll take a break and be back. I do not know where the time goes. That's how much I love hanging around you guys. But this date, Murph tells us, Panic at the Disco had the #1 hit with High Hopes, April 21st, 2019. Somebody takes in, Bob, I'm a customer of a small electric utility system. They just approached the PUC for more than a 10% increase in rates. As far as I know, there are no data centers planned for that area. So this is apparently just a normal increase. So what will several data centers in the service area do to rates? By the way, the second part of that's a legitimate question. The first part, I want you to know this, and we've played cuts on this. Your governor, Shapiro, your horrible governor, your phony governor, has been forcing wind and solar and non-renewables. Well, and fake renewables. The utilities have to buy it, and you're eating the cost. That's why our utility costs are going up in Pennsylvania. When we've got this incredibly abundant natural gas resource, it's insane. Somebody said the closed loop is environmentally better but more expensive. Do you think they'll choose more expensive? Well, it's the job of the locals to make them, instead of fighting the thing on areas where you can't fight them, make them do it. They'll agree. Believe me, when they want to build these, put billions of dollars into the ground, and they've got the money, they're going to do it. Somebody on Jamie Walsh, he said he was on WILK, not on this show, so I didn't hear him, saying down in Virginia you can hear the humming of the data centers up to 18 miles away. Well, that doesn't even make sense to me, frankly. I mean, I didn't hear it, but it doesn't make sense. Somebody else says, I think gone is a weenie too, but even a blind squirrel, and they use an ellipsis. Well, remember, it's not your choice. You've just got to make it done right and with substantial limitations. Let's go to Harry from Pittston Township on the data centers. Hey, Harry, you're wrapping up the show for us.
Yeah, I know we're crunched for time, buddy, but I've seen one being built in Ohio and driven past it. Normally, they built their own power plant, and Shapiro did nothing about requiring that, but the president did when he issued the executive order that requires that they provide their power. Now, water's an issue that should be addressed,
yes,
but there's something of $93 billion earmarked to be dedicated building in the state of Pennsylvania as investment that McCormick and Trump brought here, and they even, out of respect, invited the governor. Last, Shapiro has seen Philadelphia lose 11,000 jobs. Lincoln Financial, Comcast, and now DuPont is pulling out.
He's a horrible governor. And I didn't realize this. He gave them a tax break. Some people were saying tax break. I didn't realize he gave a sales tax break on the materials that are being used to supply. Why? What is that about? That's insanity.
Right. We've lost over $1 billion in just Philadelphia alone with this clown's leadership. And the last point I can make is, why doesn't he give us relief? Because I'm paying less for gas when I go to Ohio than in Pennsylvania. Lift one of Wolf's 25-cent raises on the gallon.
Third highest gas tax in the country following California and Illinois. Unreal.
Yeah, and the governor's done nothing.
Nothing. Except he's so busy, $3 million a year for his TikTok staff. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it, Harry. You nailed it.
God bless, brother.
Disgrace. Thank you, man. You remember The Godfather? We'll allow the sale of drugs, but it'll be controlled. You know, there's not much you can do about the overall concept. But you can hold the utilities' feet to the fire. And you got to remember, when on utility costs, Shapiro's the problem. Biden's policies have been continued. The ones that brought us staggering inflation and energy costs have been continued in Pennsylvania despite truth, fact, and reality by Shapiro. Don't forget that. Elections have consequences. Voting for a phony like Shapiro, voting for a phony like Gaughan, voting for a phony like Paige Cognetti has consequences, real consequences to you. Quite amazing. But yeah, small electric utility, you're right. The PUC is forced to grant, and it's a basic system, simple system. The utilities say, look, here's our costs. PUC either declines, says the costs aren't legitimate or whatever, and then they get a profit margin. That's it. If their costs go up because of Shapiro's policy of forcing them to buy expensive energy from windmills, etc., that are already subsidized by the taxpayers, then we pay. You can't blame data centers for that is exactly right. All right, guys. I got to go. There's nothing I can do. The Sue Henry Show's next. Rob O'Donnell after that. But for now, we must adjourn this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. God willing, I'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 9. Have a great afternoon.